Déjame leer las preguntas en inglés. En inglés.
No te preocupes. Todo va a estar bien. Welcome to With an Accent, a podcast of Università Cattolica del Sacro, Cuore. In this podcast, we'll hear stories about international students, their moments of happiness, their moments of sadness, stories about the food that they miss, the smells that they miss, and the people that they miss. But at the same time, we'll hear stories about how they've built a home, how they've built a new identity, and finally, the moment they belong, the moment Italy became their place. Hello guys, welcome back to Piacenza. We are still here, we are still talking to international students. And today we have our second Colombian in the podcast. Don't ask me why, but we are everywhere. In this case, we have our first PhD student with us. This is awesome because you can hear another part of the story. You can hear another path that you can choose when you come here to Italy. And we continue to deal with what it means to be an international student in Italy, what it means to be an international student now in Piacenza. And we continue going deeper in what it means to move to a different place and try to find somewhere you belong. Today I'm with Michelle, like I told you, Colombian. Hablamos español en este podcast. And Michelle, gracias. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Today we're gonna talk about something quite interesting, which is choosing to stay. Picture yourself, you're in Italy. You did everything you had to do. You've been studying, you're great at it. Your professors love you, your friends love you. Maybe you found someone, God knows. And then maybe you decided to stay. You decided to make Italy your home. You decided, or at least your temporary home for a while. So today we're going to talk about this journey for Michelle, what it meant to move to a different place, what it meant to change directions. She used to study in Milan. Now she's here. She will tell us all about it. And it's also like a journey of building a house, building a home across countries, across cultures, across multiple places, and finally deciding where you belong. This is direct and to the point. Was there a moment where Italy stopped feeling temporary?
I think it was even before I came, because I had this idea that I always loved the Italian culture, even though I didn't even speak the language. Then I got to learn the language, and then I was like, maybe this is the most Latin European way that I can feel. And I started feeling that it was something that I wanted to experience, but I didn't want it to end.
Okay.
Since the beginning, I didn't know how. Of course, I had my family, of course I had my friends back there, but since the beginning it was more like I am loving it so much that I don't want it to feel like it has to end. Like, who's making me do it? In Italian they say chi me lo fa fare, who is making me actually stop and say this has an expiration date. So
but okay, wow. And when did it stop having an expiration date?
Well, I think it was exactly 1 year after I had started my period here abroad, because I went back to Colombia and I had gained the tickets to come here and also go back, and the tickets were literally 1 year. And when I came back, I realized that even though when I was still back at home, I loved my family and everything, but my city was not my city anymore. My friends were not there. The university experience that I had loved so much in Colombia was not there. And I started imagining that there was a possibility to actually create a new path beyond the borders of just my country or my city or my hometown.
But you've moved multiple times. How have those changes shaped who you are and how you are at the moment?
I think it has been a constant negotiation of my identity, because of course the person that speaks Spanish in the coast is never the person that speaks Spanish in the mountains. And I ended up being Colombian, but no so costeña or from the coast to the ones that are my friends there or my family, because I have a different accent now. I am not enough from the mountains because that was never my culture or my space. But I have become like a person that is from the world. I like to imagine it like that. Also, my family has a history of migration. None of the women of my family has stayed in the place that they were born. So it was like meant to be, and I am now living that dream.
How maybe I like that story about like many women in your family have dealt with migration. Why?
Life has taken them there, or maybe also their own, the idea of following their own path. Because, for example, my grandmother, she was forced to get married, and then she decided to take the money of the dress and then escape to a different city. In that city, she ended up meeting my grandfather that was not even from the same town, from the other side. My grandfather is from France, and my grandmother is from a really small town close to the river. But also my mother, that was born in the desert, ended up living in the city, which is my city, Barranquilla. So it's like a history of like feeling that you don't have to stay in the place that you were born, but that you can also choose the place that you feel that you can't belong.
But in that sense, that's a very powerful idea of maybe you don't necessarily belong to the place where you're from. But did ever at some point moving to Italy felt like a loss rather than an opportunity? Como were there moments where you were here and you were, I miss this, I like long this of Colombia, I don't know.
I think the first time that I saw the price of a mango was like a loss for me. My family is also really good with plants, and my grandma's has always planted like mango trees all over they go. So I always grew up with a mango that was over my head, and I could grab the mangoes from the trees. But here it was like from a product that was meant to be an opportunity to share, it ended up being a product that is more luxurious, and the taste is completely different. So I felt like I was losing because I was letting my nostalgic mind pay for a luxury product that I didn't even need it, but I felt that it was like a connection to my house.
But was there other thing other than food? Was there like family, the vibes of your city? Because I mean, Barranquilla is one thing completely, Bogota is another thing completely, Chia it's another thing. Was there a moment then now here where you reflected on those times in those cities?
Yes, I mean, if we want to get a little bit personal, I think family is always family. Your mother is always your mother. And for me, like, I grew up with my family, but they also gave me always wings to fly. So I started living alone when I was 16 years old because I started the university at 16.
Are you like a genius or
Well,
un poquito?
I
A
got
bit?
some scholarships. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, since I started so young, I felt this autonomy or independent self that, like, I didn't feel it was completely a loss to be a part of my family, because I've learned to reconnect with them and to build my own bridge to connect with them through video calls, chats, and even I realized later that when I was abroad, and even now, I am having a closer relationship to the people I love because I can call them every day. Maybe when we were at the same house, we wouldn't speak because we were doing different things, eating at different hours. So it's more like an opportunity to reconnect, not even a loss. Maybe the thing that I really miss, and it was kind of a loss, was also my friends. Being at the same time to talk, because here I wake up and I cannot have this good morning experience because they are sleeping, or also dancing. It's really cultural, it's part of history. We have a dancing course in our own schools in Barranquilla. So experiencing that I couldn't dance the same way, or that it was perceived in a completely different background, was really shocking. But for the rest, it has been an amazing experience.
How do you tie all the pieces together? Because you've basically been reflecting of multiple pieces that define you, no? Como the piece of Barranquilla that defines you, then the piece of Chia that defines you, the piece of Bogota, the piece of Milano, the piece of Piacenza now. How do you find a way to tie all the pieces of all the versions that you've had of yourself?
Hmm. I don't think I've ever tied them all, because every time that I travel and I go back to that place and I connect with those people, I go back to the version that I was. But I just take a lot of time to recharge and to try to understand who am I becoming. It's just a continuous learning, and also giving myself time to understand who am I and what is going on with my life through all the places I go and the people I meet.
Now that leads me to that moment when you were in Milan, you finished your studies, you did your master's, you're trying to figure out what's life now. How did you end up here?
Well, everything started with some people that I loved, and they made me reconsider that there was a possibility to actually create a life on my own abroad. And thanks to those persons, I started to analyze, okay, what are my chances? Like, I'm not going to just wait for things to magically appear. So I started going to courses. I started thinking of really doing a really good thesis and showing that in Colombia we have talent. So I started looking for opportunities, and in a really rainy day, when no one came to class, my professor was there presenting all the options to cooperate in a research program. And I said, okay, I want to do this. I started contacting them, and even if the contact came like months later, I saw my chance and I just took it. I mean, doing a PhD is something that you cannot compensate with other jobs. So this is important. If you're going to do a PhD, you need savings, you need to have the mindset, and you need to have the goal of, okay, what am I going to do and how am I going to give value? And that value is also going to be compensated in the university experience and also in the funding experience.
How did you get to that value? How did you get to your question? How did you get to your theme? How did you decide, okay, I am staying. I'm not only staying, I'm staying in Piacenza, not in Milano. And I'm finding a thesis and a theme that I like.
It's important to mention that since I was studying at the university in Colombia, I loved working with couples, and that led me to work in Milan with my master thesis on designing dating apps with people with disabilities. So here I already had a touch point that was engaging the user. In my current project, I am also engaging users that are not people with disabilities, but that are people that are older, over 65, 75 years old. So I already knew that I like to work with the community, but then I needed to find a matching background. And in this case, I was really lucky because on that day, the rainy day, the professor was saying a sentence that stayed in my mind, that was, we do not work for people, we work with people. And that's what I already did on my master thesis. I work with them, not only for them, like, yes, this is the dating app for you. No, tell me, what is your experience? How can we compensate? How can we innovate together? And you can be a co-author, like this active citizenship of humans. Later, when I wanted to choose a project, there were two options open. And you have to be really lucky because these options open like once a year.
Okay.
And one was related to the health aspects, and the other one was related to food. So I was like, okay, they allowed me to choose. And I was like, I am in Italy. I want to learn about food in the place that is well known for it. So then I chose this food project. I didn't start the PhD. I started 1 year of fellowship of research. And after that year, I said, okay, I am convinced I want to start and pursue something bigger. something that is a bigger commitment because it's 3 years more. And I started to see the options. There was one at this university, Catholic University, in another area, another campus. So I was like, why not? I want to go for it. I had a team that was already helping me to prepare with all of the possible jobs I could do. I was getting informed, I was studying a lot. I was also preparing myself for the interview because I was scared that the first thing that they would ask me, what do you know about food, was the actual answer that I gave at the beginning, that was, I only know I like to eat. But I'm willing to learn, and I started with all the preparation and all actually the information that I have studied. But yeah, the beginning was, I wanted to study food in a country that is known for it. Then I am lucky because this area of Piacenza is called the Food Valley. So it's really one of the best places if you are interested in this area. And how did I ended up from psychology to the PhD in agricultural systems? Well, I think that in psychology we understand human beings, and food is not just food, it's also the interpretation that humans give about it. So I ended up mixing the idea of understanding human beings in order to create food that we do not only nutritionally need, but also that we can like, enjoy, and share with the people that we care the most.
So you basically question strategies that can encourage people to choose healthier foods and a healthier lifestyle in both Italy and Colombia. Why both countries?
Why both countries? Because I want to give back. I don't think that I am the person that I am now just because of me or because of the things that I've done. Of course, I have done a lot and I have studied a lot, but I also come from a background and I come from a place that has older adults. And these older adults have different problems. Here, maybe people don't eat because they are informed, but they just don't believe in new products. In Colombia, it's not that they are informed, it's that in many cases they don't have the economic funds to eat. So if I am designing something that is going to help older adults, and we are all aging, my parents are there, my parents are aging, it just makes sense to do something that is going to have a real impact, not only the European context that is well known and studied, but also in a context that is like Latin America, where I'm now more like an objective point of view because I have not been living there in the past 5 years, but at the same time that I know so well that I can see from the in-depth eyes of someone that belongs or used to belong to that culture.
Used to belong? No, you still belong. You're still there. Don't. El título de colombiano no te lo quitan. You don't. It's not like you're still Colombian. Don't worry. For that part, I can guarantee you're still in the culture. But there's something that I find there's a lot. But one thing that I think is important to go to is you wanted to give back to Colombia because you have the means to do so from here, and it allows you to like go back and give to where you come from. So first, you cannot escape being Colombian because you're still thinking of Colombia and actively trying to give back regardless of where you're from. Because you can build a country even if you're not physically there. That's the first thing that I think is super nice and it's super important to highlight. But the second is, there's one question that has really popped out in my mind after all the conversation that we had, and is, do you feel to belong to one place or to multiple?
I don't feel that I belong anywhere. I like the person that I were when I was living in my city is not the same person that is now. The person that I am now is not the same person that a typical Italian from Piacenza would be. So I don't feel that I belong anywhere, but at the same time I feel tremendously grateful for this, because in the way that I see it, not a single human on earth should be in the position of choosing whether to stay in the city that saw them be raised and born, or to stay in the place where they saw their dreams come true. And I am in this position, and it's really hard to manage all of these emotions, because then you don't know, when people ask me, where are you from? they don't actually recognize that you are from there. They have to actually process and listen to this whole long story. But at the same time, I think it's amazing just to be able to live like Hannah Montana, the best of both worlds, even if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, who knows.
But then you think it's awesome. Sorry that I want to go deep in this, but don't you think it's awesome, that feeling of multi-duality, multiplicity of not only I don't belong to one specific place, but I carry each Michelle with me and make each Michelle part of what I am at the moment and what I will be at the same time, because you could keep on growing and keep on changing.
Yes. The reason why I said I feel like I don't belong anywhere is because to the typical concept of belonging, I don't feel that my whole self and body can be condensed into one single place. But at the same time, I feel it's amazing, as you were saying, that I can carry all of these little identities in my bag and in my heart, and that I can start living, and it's like a theater constantly, like putting on the mask of, okay, this is the me living in Europe as a Latina, or this is the me, the Latina that is living in Europe. And it's just a constant negotiation of who you were, and acknowledging that you won't ever be that same person again. The one that left would never go back. Even if I go back to the same door, I'm not that person anymore. But it's also acknowledging that I have grown so much, that I have learned so much, that maybe this is the best place where I can be.
There's another final element to your whole journey. We are trying to understand what it means to choose to stay. Do you think choosing to stay is something you renegotiate all the time? Because as you said, there's parts of Michelle in Piacenza that didn't exist before. There are elements of you that you're rediscovering and relearning. Do you renegotiate every day that sense of I am here?
I don't say it's every day, but it comes and goes like waves. Like specifically in the holidays, like 20th of July, it's Colombian Independence Day, while here it could be 25th of April, the Liberation Day. And it's knowing that there are parts of me that even if I am in this territory, I would always celebrate. And in those cases, yes, I need to understand where am I, and I have to negotiate. Do I belong, or do I stay or not? But in a bigger perspective, I feel like I don't have to negotiate that so much, because on my daily life, I mean, it has been years since I started living in Italy, so I feel like even the crowded metro is part of my reality now, and I love that, and I love like accepting that this is now the place where I am coming, or where I am feeling more alive.
Honestly, on that note, I think it's a great ending. And now we get to the finishing part of the episode, and it's the part where you can talk in Spanish, and when people can actually hear how different Spanish is everywhere. And it's basically an opportunity for you to talk to Michelle 5 years ago, before coming to Italy. I mean, 5 years. You've been here 5 years. That's a whole universe of experience. But what would you tell to yourself, to that dreaming Michelle that thought of, wow, I'm going to be in Italy. This is all I've worked for. I'm here. What would you tell to yourself at that time? En español.
Español.
Cambia el chip.
Momento. Me diría, no te rindas. Confía en que lo que estás haciendo te va a llevar a cumplir todos tus sueños y a conocer una versión de ti que si no hubieses salido, nunca te hubieses imaginado de lo que ibas a llegar a ser y dónde ibas a estar y las personas que ibas a ver y el mundo que ibas a amar, porque hay mucho que conocer más allá del mar.
Qué bello. Okay, eso estuvo hermoso. Thank you guys. Thank you, Michelle, for being here, and
Gracias.
we'll talk later. Ciao.
So, my name is Michelle Calvete Labouz. I am from Colombia, from Barranquilla. I am doing a PhD in agricultural systems, the economical legal part. I am originally a psychologist from Università della Sabana, and also I have a master in psychology applied to communication and marketing from Università Cattolica del Sacro, Cuore in Milan. And now I am doing the PhD in Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore in Piacenza in the agricultural science, agri-system.
And as Michelle was saying, there's lots to see beyond the sea. There's lots of places to go, lots of people to meet, and new versions of yourself to rediscover and to find. You've been listening to With an Accent, a podcast of Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore. Thank you to Educat for letting us use this great and beautiful space to record our podcast in Piacenza. And we hope to see you next time. Ciao.